Let's say that you want to exclude a particular country from your Google Analytics 4 reports. How can you do that? Well, there are various approaches. In this video, first I'll show you how to temporarily exclude a country with things like segments or filters, and then I will also show you how to completely prevent certain countries from being tracked in GA4. We have lots to cover, so let's dive in. The first method, how can you exclude a particular country from your reports, is comparisons. This will work in the reports section. At the top of probably almost every report, you will see add comparison, or you will see this icon edit comparisons. They both work in the same way. So if you want to, let's say, exclude a particular country, you can click here, and then you will need to create a new comparison. So click create new comparison, and then enter country, and select does not exactly match. And here you can select certain countries that you want to exclude. This is a demo property, that's why I don't have much traffic, but I have traffic from 2 countries. So let's say that I will exclude Lithuania. I will select this and then click apply. Now I have 2 comparisons. One is all users, that is highlighted in blue, and then the orange graph is traffic without Lithuania. So if I remove all users, I will see traffic without that country. Now, if I go to any other report, while I still have this comparison here, it will kind of persist, but right now it gets disabled. So if you want to enable it again, then you will need to click view comparisons. It will activate it and then remove all users. I agree, this is not very convenient, but that's how it works. So it kind of persists across different reports, but you still need to do several additional clicks. Maybe in the future, Google will change this. But just remember that the comparisons apply only in the reports section. So if you create a comparison here and you have some report in the Explore section, explorations will not be affected by this comparison right here. What you're doing here applies only to you. Other visitors do not see this comparison right here. But you can actually save comparisons so that other users who have access to this property can reuse that. So if you click on this comparison right here, you could click then save, and once this is saved, it will become available to other users. And if you are creating a new comparison, then you can just click add comparison or click this icon, then create new. And once you create your comparison, click save. So let me reuse this comparison. I will click it and then click save and traffic without Lithuania, like that, and click confirm. So now, if you come back the next day to your GA4 property, by default, you will still see all users. This will not be applied. Basically, this is what you will see. But if you want to quickly exclude that particular country, you could click edit comparisons and select that comparison here. You can disable all users and click apply. And now, just in a couple of clicks, you again see traffic without a particular country. So this was the first option. The other option applies to standard reports. So this means, again, this section, but only detail reports. Detail reports are those that have the table. For example, user acquisition, traffic acquisition, and so on. So first, let me remove this comparison. And in such reports, below the title of the report, you will see add filter. By using this feature, you can add a filter just to this particular report, as long as you're viewing it. But if you navigate to another report, or you, let's say, come back to GA4 the next day, that filter will go away. So this is a very temporary option. How can you filter just to a particular subset of data? So let's do that. I am in the user acquisition report. I can add a filter, and then here I can select again country, then does not exactly match, and then select again Lithuania, click apply, and here I see the same data and I see that filter right here. Now, what about explorations in the Explore section? Let's take a look. Go to Explore, then click blank. And let's say that I want to build a sample report where I see the top traffic sources. So I could add a dimension, which is session source medium. So I select that, import, and then let's say that I will add the number of sessions. And I will also add revenue, which is purchase revenue. So click import. Now, if I double click on those items that I just imported, I will see the data. Let me also maybe change the date range to the last 90 days. And here are the numbers. But this report shows data from all countries. Now, if I want to exclude a particular country, I can do that in two ways in explorations. I can do that with segments or filters. Let's start with segments. In the segments section, click plus, and then select the type of the segment. In this tutorial, I will not be explaining the differences between these types. That's a topic for another tutorial. I also explain the differences in depth in my paid Google Analytics 4 course. So if you want to learn more about that, I will post a link below the video. But in this example, let's say that I will select session segment. So by default, it will tell me to include something, but I want to exclude. That's why I will remove this block, and instead I will select add group to exclude. Here, I want to exclude those sessions where country exactly matches, and then I will select a country. Click apply. Then let's name this segment and hit save and apply. This will be automatically applied to the report. And here I see the number of sessions and revenue coming from those traffic sources. So this was one option. Another option would be to use filters. So let me remove this segment, and instead I can scroll down in this column and add a filter right here. But if I click right here, I don't see the country. This is happening because I haven't added the dimension right here. So in the dimensions section, click plus and then select country. Then pick the dimension and click import. Now we can use that dimension in the filter. So country, and we want to show only that data where the country does not exactly match and the country, which is, let's say, Lithuania. So I hit apply and I have the numbers. You might have noticed that numbers are different here compared to the segment because this filter works more like an event scoped segment, while our segment was the user scoped. That's why there's a difference. Also, if I recall correctly, when the segment was applied, there was some sampling as well. But nevertheless, these were two options. How can you exclude a particular country from the exploration? All of the methods that I have explained in this video so far deal with the data that is already collected. But what if you want to prevent the data from a particular country to be even tracked in Google Analytics 4? Well, one way how can that be done is with Google Tag Manager. But of course, you might need the input from the developer as well. Here I have a demo website, and let's say that on this website, I want to exclude traffic from Lithuania. The way how I would approach this is that I could talk with the developer of the website and ask him or her to push the country information to the data layer before Google Tag Manager loads. And in fact, that is already done on this demo site. So here, before all other events that have been dispatched to the data layer on the website, there is a message. And if I expand this data layer push, there is country and the country code. If the visitor visited from somewhere else, let's say from Germany, then the country code would be different. So I could use this information from the data layer and update my triggering in Google Tag Manager to fire tracking codes only if country code does not match a particular value. Let me show you how that could be done. By the way, if you have no idea what data layer is, then I will post a link to a tutorial below the video for you to learn more. But if you want to really learn about data layer, then take a look at my paid Google Tag Manager courses. I will post a link to them below the video. In a nutshell, you would need to ask a developer to use data layer push method and then push country with a particular value to the data layer. Then once that is done and you see this data layer push in Google Tag Manager's preview mode, then you could go to Google Tag Manager and first create a variable that returns the country code. You could do that by going to variables, then scroll down and in the user-defined variables, click new, then variable configuration and data layer variable. Here we have to enter the name of the parameter which is in the data layer. In my case, it's country, but maybe your developer pushes country code or some other name. So enter whatever you have in the data layer. In my case, it's country, so I will just copy it and paste it like that. Then I will name this variable and click save. Now in this container, I have several test tags. So instead of manually editing all these triggers, I could create a blocking trigger, which is also known as exception, and then apply it to multiple tags at the same time. So that could be done by going to triggers, then create a new trigger, trigger configuration, and then select custom event. Here, click this checkbox and enter .*. It means any event. So if any event happens on a page and that event's country, so we select DLV country here, exactly matches or equals a particular country code, then this blocking trigger will prevent the tags from firing. So this is the general configuration. Now I will name this trigger, let's say blocking Lithuanian traffic, and then click save. Now I can go to tags, and then I can either edit them one by one, or I can apply this blocking trigger in bulk. First, let me show you the manual option. I will click the first tag, and then here I will go to triggering, add exception, and then I will select that trigger. So this is one option. Well, of course, after that, you would need to save this. Another option is to select all tags. Just click this checkbox, then click this icon to edit triggers, and then click add exception. Here, if we click this trigger and hit save, and then save again, the trigger will be applied to all those tags. And if the visitor lands on your site, the country is pushed to the data layer, and its value is specifically this, then none of these tags will fire. If you don't have a developer at your disposal and nobody can help you, but you are using server-side tagging, then there is still a chance that you could technically block those tracking codes from firing for a particular country on the server level. Here I will not be explaining what server-side tagging is because that's a very broad topic. If you want to get started with it, I will post a link to a tutorial below the video. But in this section of this lesson, I assume that you at least have the basics. So here I have a container. It is pretty basic. I just have one tag, which sends data further to Google Analytics 4. I have enabled the preview mode of the server-side container, and here I have several events. Now, if I click one event and I go to event data, I would be looking for something related to country. There are various ways where you can host your server-side container, so the value of the parameter might not be there, or it might be named in a different way, but just keep looking for something related to country. In my case, it is an event location, and here is an object, and the country is LT. So basically, I could create a variable that accesses this value, and then I could create a blocking trigger in the server container. So first, let's create the variable for this. Since I see this data in my event data tab, I could create the event data variable in my container. So let's go to Google Tag Manager, and I mean server-side Google Tag Manager, then variables, then click new, variable configuration, and keep looking for event data. Here, we first need to enter the name of the key. In my case, that is event location. So I will just copy it, but it's not just a simple text. It is a text, but inside the object. We know that it's an object because we have curly braces right here. So basically it is inside country, but that country is inside event location. So from event location, we have to drill down to country. So let's copy this and enter .country. If in your case you have a different name here or here, you will have to adapt. Just keep in mind that if you want to drill down into the object, you will have to use the dot notation. So we used the dot right here. Now I will name this variable, and then I will click save. Now I will create a trigger. So let's go to triggers and then new, trigger configuration, and then custom, but we want to look only at those events where my event data variable exactly matches LT. Then let's name this trigger. The principle here is very similar to what I did in the previous example with the website Google Tag Manager container. So after you name the trigger, click save, and then I can go to tags, open this tag right here, and then in the triggering, I will add an exception and I will select this blocking trigger. So click save, and let's test if this is working. I will click the preview to refresh the preview mode. Then I will refresh the site just to send some event from the website to the server. And if I click, let's say on page view, you will see that the tag did not fire because currently I am browsing from Lithuania. And that's how you can exclude a country in Google Analytics 4 reports. If you found this video useful, hit the like button below the video. That will help me understand what videos do you like and what should I create in the future. Also, if you want to learn more about Google Tag Manager or GA4, then subscribe to this channel. My name is Julius, this is Analytics Mania, and I'll see you in the next video.